Going.
Ladies and gentlemen, genders of all ages, it's the J. Aaron Roy Show!
No, it's not. It's really not. But welcome to another video.
Hello.
This is Olivia, I'm
Hello.
Jay, and it's Transgender Day of Visibility.
I
So
think it was sort of like a whole month thing, but this is the real, ending spark of it, though.
yeah, so it's like the day that everyone's like, woo, trans.
Yeah.
So we were asked to do a sort of 10 things that allies might need to know or do or say. I don't know if we're going to get to 10. We're just going to have a chat.
Close.
We're going to do the best we can, but I'm going to let Olivia kick it off, and we're going to get right into it. So, yeah. Oh, and just a disclaimer. Usually, I give this disclaimer. Our experience is not every trans person's experience, This is just our experience, so here we go.
All right, so the first thing, really the key thing of being an ally, if you try to consider yourself an ally, is actually not prioritizing being an ally at all, but instead being a friend. Because here's the thing. As much as political revolution is grand and all, at the end of the day, we're still human beings. Every trans person, every person who is of, different gender identity or sexual orientation, we want friends. We're social creatures. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be, as much as we may want to raise the flag and all that stuff and do all these political things, it's because of an intense feeling of that we as people have to.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be surrounded by political advocates all the time. It gets boring. So if you feel like you are an ally or want to become a better ally, be a friend first.
Yeah. And so, having political, friends is great. It's not a bad thing. But just be a friend first. And that's what Olivia is saying. And sort of getting to the point where A is not, in the acronym, A is not for ally. This is something I don't really use the acronym all that much because it tends to change and get longer. And it never includes everybody. And that's the problem. So I like to use the term rainbow community. But for a quick little education, just if you didn't know, Olivia will get into why A does not mean ally.
So number two is sort of, I suppose, because there's a lot of different ways to say it, so I'll just say them probably the most straightforward. At the end of the day, there is misconception as far as for inclusion of allies within what I'll refer to as the queer spaces. Not just referring to transgender people or gender variance people, but also people of differing sexuality. The situation is this, sort of for the clarity's sake, and this is not to be rude to anybody. We are in a situation sort of where we have a community not built by choice, but by having to come together.
Necessity.
Exactly. Necessity of biology, necessity of whatever it is that you want to call it. So we have our spaces, and they're meant for people who are within the bubble.
Who are queer.
Yes. So to the allies, we need you still for the political parts, as well as for just to have normal people.
Yep.
And
Normal. What is
quote
normal?
unquote normal majority.
Yeah.
But so I want to make sure that perception is clear, because to be an ally is to be a supporter at the end, that you believe that we have a just cause, that we deserve rights.
Yes.
But it is not so much as an aim to try to wiggle into a community that otherwise you feel like you may not have a justification for belonging to. If you are, if you're bisexual, or if you're anything, be open about it, explore it, and we'll welcome you with open arms, because then at that point it's a matter of including another person. It's the straight white people who are very political, trying to sort of fit themselves into the spaces of people who are trying to get a date at the men's movies. So that makes way more sense when I put it that way.
And to that extent, allies need to understand anger. Anger, is a very real emotion, and it comes from real places. And it's a difficult thing to deal with on both ends. But they come from real places, and to just sort of step back and realize that if someone's angry, there's usually quite a good reason for that. And to just have a little bit of patience and to understand.
we get angry when we get not depressed, suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
Anger and depression don't really go very well together, but that's besides the point.
Well, and allies understand that they are supporting marginalized communities who don't have, as large of a voice. Yeah.
We're working on it. And to that end, because, be honest, being trans is not a walk in the park. There's a lot of mental illness along with it. There's a lot of struggles. There's a lot of everything. Hell, the original medical diagnosis was gender identity disorder, a mental disorder, and it's still gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
It's still a mental condition. So let's say that you're in a situation where you have a trans person in front of you and you're seeing that they're marginalized, that they're getting shot down, that they're getting beaten down. Support them. But at the end of the day, let the person take the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to, everyone, like if the vast majority of people if they have not experienced mental illness themselves, they have seen someone suffer through it.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to push that while also trying to empower yourself in a larger societal way is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Support the person. But
ask them questions.
Ask them.
How are you feeling? Would you like me to step in this situation? Be there when you see those situations happen. Ask the person and then step in.
But don't jump over them to say, well, we need to do this. We need to go to City Hall and we need to talk to the mayor.
Well,
and
a lot of the times that person's going to know what to do best, and just so have a conversation with them first.
Also, as a side note as well, back to the friend thing, back to the believing and being friends with someone, correct people. When someone is just coming out and they're trying to get into the passing phase, which essentially is like where me and Jay are at, where we look to the outside world pretty dang passable as male and female. I mean, hormones helps that. But when they're in that, trying to get to that point, help them out. When you hear people talk about them and they misgender them, when they refer to Sally back by her dead name and pronouns, step in gently, but step in and reinforce the fact that who they are is not who they once were.
And this goes back to being a friend. Wouldn't you support all of your friends when they're not around? If someone said something mean about one of your friends when they weren't around, would you defend them or wouldn't you? And that just would show what a kind of friend you are,
Because we all do it, because I've done it, because everyone's done it. Just when it comes to yourself messing up a pronoun, chill. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just lightly correct yourself.
Yeah. Like you don't need to make a big production of it. We can just say, oops, sorry, and move on.
Yeah. He's got a point. There you go. There doesn't need to be a big apology to it, because at the end of the day, we appreciate more the subtle correction of someone immediately showing that they're trying.
Moving on and showing that it's not like it shouldn't be,
oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get used to it, because that just makes a bigger mess, a bigger scene, and it shows that there's still a lot of internal conflict going on.
So, as a friend, believe your friends, stick up for them. Not everyone needs to quote-unquote pass. If your friends are gender neutral, or if they want to, show a gender identity that's not necessarily as accepted in society, who cares? Support your friend and support their pronouns, support them behind their back, and
ask them about those pronouns.
Ask them, if you're not sure, I have a lot of friends whose gender identity changes from day to day, and it's just a quick question. And they don't mind that I ask, and then I know, and then that we go on with the day. And a lot of people prefer that, because it relieves all of their stress for having to make that first step and have that conversation.
Plus, it shows that you are taking the initiative as an ally and a friend to be there for them and support them.
Yeah. So I don't know, I think we've pretty much touched on being a friend first, ask questions, FYI, A is not for ally, allies understand anger. So understand please understand that comes from a real place, and try to understand it.
I think do
some more research.
Yeah, I think really the big thing beyond that, as far as the height, is understanding. If you want to be an ally for trans people or gender neutral, gender variant people, talk.
Yeah.
Talk to them. Ask
Just learn
questions.
more.
Learn about the experience.
Yeah.
As far as me and Jay, we're pretty comfortable in our skin. We're pretty comfortable. I crack jokes in my personal space about my past name, about all of this stuff. I'm comfortable talking about my experience.
I mean, a lot of being an ally is just having the willingness to sit down and listen and believe people.
And to quell ignorance.
Yeah.
Because ignorance is both bliss but also a problem.
Yeah, and it's an exhausting battle out there, so it's nice to have some help.
Destroying the gender society is so terrible. Oh, and it's only 9 a.m.
I know, right?
But yeah, so
I think that's
I
good for
think
another
that's
video.
it. Yeah,
All
thanks
right.
a ton for watching.
Comment below.
Like, favorite, subscribe, do all the socials, and
Send coffee.
send a coffee, and yeah, watch Jay's page for the next time that we do a video so that you can submit your questions, and maybe next time we'll be able to get a bigger video. And I'd love to come for another video.
Oh, you will, for
So
sure.
if you think that I'm doing okay, if you like to see more of me, go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to say have a wonderful March 30th of
31st.
31st transgender visibility, and yeah, see you
Yay.
next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.